Hear that? Believe it or not, summer is just around the corner. Luckily, Armor All, America's most trusted auto appearance brand, has what your car needs to get that perfect summer shine. Plus, now through May 31st, we'll give you $5 for every $20 you spend on Armor All products. That means car wash pods, protectant, tire shine, you name it. Find out how to get your $5 rebate at armorall.com. Armor All, less work, more clean. Terms apply.
Happy Friday. Today on CityCast Boise, we're breaking down a Hyde Park restaurant controversy, chatting about Boise's punny new scooter PSA. Plus, we're exploring how generous we are with the Idaho Gives campaign. It's Friday, May 3rd. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Once again, it's Friday, and I have executive producer Frankie Barnhill joining me.
Happy Friday. First Friday in May. It feels good.
I know. It's solidly a spring Friday, even though it maybe doesn't feel that way as much.
Yeah, cold spring. It's okay. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll roll with it. It. I thought this was really interesting because I think of spring. I think of eating on the patio. I think of restaurants. Yeah. You're following my train of thought here.
I think so.
There has been some restaurant controversy in Boise. Have you heard about what's kind of going on, or can you explain it?
Yeah, this story piqued my interest and yours as well. The Idaho Statesman had a great article that we highlighted in our Hey Boise newsletter earlier this week about this restaurant called a Parisena, which is very fun to say, a Parisena. Yeah. And that's a restaurant, you probably know exactly where it is. It's in Hyde Park. It's that cute old Victorian house building that's been converted to a restaurant. And if you're feeling deja vu in a second, there's a reason why. We'll get to that. But yeah, the reason why this particular restaurant is in the news and why the Idaho Statesman wrote about it is there have been allegations of wage withholding and payment issues by employees, current and former employees, against the owner. And it's kind of escalated to last week. There was actually a protest outside the restaurant. Well, maybe some folks were enjoying themselves on the patio, and there were people with their signs saying, "Give me my money," essentially.
Yeah, and it's like you said, is that again allegedly, because
yes,
nothing has been proved, but the restaurant that was there before had the same issue.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about this location, but
is it the building?
I don't know. Is there a curse on the building? I don't know. But yeah, in all seriousness, the previous business there, totally different owners, different name. It was Hyde House, if people remember that place. Actually, yeah, very similar allegations, again, by former employees after that restaurant closed, especially that there were allegations that the checks were never received by employees, by the servers and the wait staff there. But yeah, in this case, it's interesting. So the Statesman will link to their article because it really goes in depth. And they looked into this really closely. They talked to a dozen current and former employees of a Parisena and who, worked there at one point or still work there. And the owner, Danielle Christine, has denied all of these allegations and, through the Statesman was denying different allegations in different ways with documentation. But yeah, I mean, the overall vibe is employees say, some of them say that their wages were never received, or they received checks really late, or they had to ask for the checks multiple times in order to get their payment. And the result is that, according to the Statesman, two former employees have filed small claim lawsuits against the owner, and 3 have filed claims to the Idaho Department of Labor, too.
Yeah, and several of the employees have said they didn't actually get paid, that allegedly they didn't actually get paid until they had filed those suits, until legally their, things were happening, and then they got paid. And I know that there are also issues with the employees that have gone to small claims court, where then the owner is saying that they're asking for more than should be due.
Right.
And they're saying, no, this is exactly what was due. Or that because allegedly they didn't get the money that for their work, that they fell behind on things like rent, paying bills. So now they have additional fees associated with that that also need to be covered, that if they'd had their paychecks, those fees wouldn't have accrued.
Yeah. And I think this is, I mean, backing up from this particular story and the he said, she said vibe of it all. And we're not sure exactly what's going on, except for, again, definitely read that Idaho Statesman article. They go in depth into the various allegations and what the owner says to refute those. But this isn't happening out of nowhere, just in terms of like Boise's restaurant culture, Idaho's restaurant culture. Everybody loves to go to a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
You might not even really be thinking about what's going on behind the scenes at a particular place, how employees are being treated, how the owners are able to like keep the doors open.
Yeah.
It's a really tough business, obviously. Employees, according to the article again, in some ways feel like promises were broken. Certainly that, of course, the wage piece of it all is their livelihood. And could potentially mean that they, might not have a place to live if they're not able to make rent and stay on top of it. And this kind of thing can feel really cyclical. I also just as a side note, maybe people know this, maybe they don't, but Idaho, it's a minimum wage state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour.
$7.25 an hour. But then for tipped workers, so restaurant workers who receive tips, servers, the tipped wage is $3.35 an hour. So you're getting paid $3.35 an hour, and then whatever tips you make on top of that. Which can be really, really, really tough. It depends, a restaurant like this that's kind of higher end, a table might spend like $200 easily, and then you're making, hopefully, at least 20% off that check if everybody tips correctly. But, that push and pull and like really how challenging it can be for workers to make ends meet. There are plenty of restaurants too, or there's at least some that pay above the minimum wage, but they only have to pay $3.35 an hour. That's the base.
Well, and that's part of what makes this story so heartbreaking is the allegations that there was tip theft. And that if you are, if you really are only making $3.35 an hour, you really do depend on those tips. And so not having access to that or having tip theft, allegedly, is going to be devastating to your ability to pay bills. You count on that.
Yeah. And I should say that, the owner, besides denying the allegations, she claimed that part of the problem when there have been some errors, so I guess she's acknowledged that there have been some issues to some degree, it was due to a faulty U.S. bank account or some checks that weren't going through because of a bad checkbook that was not her fault. It's hard to pin this down exactly, this precise story, but I think, again, kind of stepping back and just knowing that, Idaho's a right to work state. It's Boise's an expensive place to live all of a sudden. When I was a server many years ago in downtown Boise, thankfully my rent was not too bad, but I still depended on every single cent that I made. And it was really hard to I'm trying to think of how I would have documented, how I would know that I'm getting all of my tipped wages. I just had to rely on trusting that my manager and the owner were doing the right thing and giving me what was owed to me. And thankfully I felt like that. But if people are feeling like they can't trust their employer, whether it's this story or any others, I mean, that's hard. And it's tough to find it's interesting that people actually are filing claims because that takes so much energy. And I'm like, would I have done that if I was 22 and just, surviving off tips? It kind of takes a lot of gumption and also awareness of the system. It's hard to navigate.
Absolutely. And I really want, if anything, if our listeners can get out of this, is that we live in a right to work state. And so it falls on you to keep track of these things. And and that feels hard. And that adds another layer of stress to your job, having to have that, I don't know, maybe anxiety or just suspicion. You don't want to feel that at work. You want to trust, I'm showing up, I'm doing my job, I'm going to be paid for my job. But something that a lot of the employees have said is the issue with being in a right to work state is when you file something with the Idaho Department of Labor that you have to prove that you are entitled to the money that you say you're entitled to. And so you have to have documentation of everything.
Like clocking in, clocking out.
Yeah, the clocking in, the clocking out. The servers were saying, some of them were like, oh, they printed off the checkout every single night. And that is how they were able to really prove, hey, this is how much was, this is how much money there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how much, this is how much I deserved in tips because I was, did this much.
Sure.
And so, if you're just going in and you're like, hey, I'm trusting that I'm working for you, you're going to pay me. You might not have been doing that, but I want people to know, like, we live in a right to work state. And so unfortunately, a lot of that responsibility falls on you as the employee. So please be documenting everything. Please be, because we don't like to think someone would try to cheat us.
Yeah.
Please be documenting everything. Please be, if you feel like you want to print out the checkout, if you want to make a note every single shift, this is the tables, this is the wages, this is the tips. It is just heartbreaking. I want everyone to be prepared in case a situation like this comes up again.
Yeah. Yep. And just to put a bow on it, again, these are allegations. This is, reporting by the Statesman done by Idaho Statesman reporter Sarah Cutler, a fabulous report that we'll link in the show notes for people to read the full story.
Mom deserves the best, and there's no better place to shop for Mother's Day than Whole Foods Market. They're your destination for unbeatable savings, from premium gifts to show-stopping flowers and irresistible desserts. Start by saving 33% with Prime on all body care and candles. Then get a 15-stem bunch of tulips for just $9.99 each with Prime. Round out Mom's menu with festive rosé, irresistible berry chantilly cake, and more special treats. Come celebrate Mother's Day at Whole Foods Market.
So full disclosure, we're recording this on Thursday morning, and we're closing in on the final hours of the Idaho Gives campaign. Have you checked that out, Frankie?
Yeah, I'm on the leaderboard right now, which is very fun. The website has like updated numbers of, how much is being raised every second. And I'm seeing the number go up, which is fun. So yeah, Idaho Gives being this annual it's become several day fundraiser in recent years. And Thursday, it's about 11:30 a.m. We're recording. There's as of recording right now, there's like $3.1 million has been raised so far, which is pretty good, I would say. And 618 organizations have received donations, almost 10,000 donors. So by the time you're listening to this, although Idaho Gives will officially be over, I'm sure any of the organizations would still be happy to receive your donation. But this is kind of the big annual push to get all of these nonprofits all the funding that they need to sustain themselves, to maybe push for a specific campaign throughout the year. And a lot of these nonprofits really have come to rely on Idaho Gives to get them through every year.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, just an interesting Idaho thing, living in this state, that there is so little government funding for so many programs and groups that our state needs, that Idahoans rely on. And so I think it's incredible. I'm sad we don't have that funding because we need it. But I also think it's incredible how generous people are to these nonprofits that so many people rely on, like Interfaith Sanctuary, even Planned Parenthood, the Humane Society,
Idaho Food Bank. Yeah,
exactly. So many, so many of these groups that Idahoans need access to these groups. And so we're really stepping up. Idahoans are stepping up and getting the funding for these organizations to help other Idahoans. And I love to see it. As much as I don't love that there isn't funding for these groups, that I, just personally believe that should be something we're funding. But I love that people in Idaho are stepping up for other Idahoans.
Yeah, and to see literally hundreds of organizations. I mean, over 600 organizations are receiving donations of one level or another. And we're talking, I mean, okay, Boise Bicycle Project, as of right now, again, on Thursday morning, they're in the lead. They're at $96,000, over $96,000. And they make a big push every year. That is really important for them. Idaho Food Bank is at 50,000 as of right now. Interfaith Sanctuary, 82, Jesse Tree, 43,000. So really essential for all these groups. I will say I was kind of curious to see how it's done in previous years. Like if we're at like 3.1 million and we've still got about 12 hours left before as we're recording, how will we shake out? Will this be, more money raised than in previous years? Last year was 3.7 million was raised, quite a bit. And the year before was 3.6 million. So perhaps they'll break a record or at least come in at the same level. I've been kind of curious about like, as charitable as Idahoans are and as giving, like the question of fatigue, especially after COVID, because the nonprofits really needed people to step up to sustain them through that. And anyway, it's good to see that people are still giving in these big numbers, and hopefully they break a record this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as of, Thursday morning, we're at $3.1 million. So hopefully, by the time this airs, the campaign will have finished, but hopefully we can at least get to where previous years have been. But I agree. That's I think what sometimes puts these nonprofits at a disadvantage is people do get tired and money is tight and everything costs more. And so it is hard to have public generosity be the foundation for a lot of these organizations' ability to keep their doors open, to be able to help people. And that is just a really interesting thing in our state and our society that, the ability to give also depends on if you can pay your bills.
Yeah, absolutely. I was curious though, because again, I always like to compare us to other states because I'm like, how does Idaho stack up against these other places in the West? So I looked at Utah because I thought, similar politics and right next door. So Idaho has how many? Okay, can we play a little guessing game? I know I'm springing this on you. I just love it when we do guessing games. Okay, of the entire employment force in Idaho, would you guess that we have less than 10% of our population employed by nonprofits or more?
I would say more.
That's what I thought too, but actually Idaho is 7% of so 7% of everyone in Idaho is employed by a nonprofit, which is the same as in Utah. So similar population there. But then compared to like Oregon has 12%. 12% of their employment workforce is employed by nonprofits. Obviously a much bigger state too. So the raw numbers are going to be bigger as well. And then Montana, 15% in Montana employed by nonprofits. I know. I was kind of surprised by that. So but anyway, just to say that not only is this important for the work that the nonprofits are doing, but it also, since 7% of our workforce does depend on this for their livelihoods and their incomes, come from these nonprofits to do the important work. That's important to point out too. Lindsay, I love that on Fridays you've begun this kind of tradition, most Fridays, to do this kind of pick of the week, a favorite story or favorite thing in your life even that happened, just to kind of wrap up the Friday shows and send us into the weekend. So what's your pick of the week?
Yeah, so my pick of the week is that next week, but I'm anticipating it this week, one of the big ticket distributing companies. I don't want to give them any airtime.
Fair enough.
But they have an annual promotion called Concert Week where tickets to all of these different types of concerts are only $25. And so it's just for general admission. So you're not going to be like front row. It's not, but it's really exciting to, I always love a bargain. I love a sale. And so I can plan on a couple different concerts where it might, normally cost me $70 to $100 to go to one concert. I can go to 3 or 4 concerts for that same price.
Yeah.
And I'm of an age where some people some groups I really want to see are part of these bargain tickets now. So
they're on bargain tour. Or
I am.
something.
I've reached the age where the music I like is on sale. So yeah, there's just a couple of different groups that I'm really excited to see. Blue October is one of them. I know. I love it.
Wow. Throwback.
I know. Sum 41 and Mother. So those are the ones I'm really hoping I can get some tickets to. Sometimes it goes really fast. So I always have to have my must see and then my if I can get those ones, I really want them. But it's just really exciting. I love having, concerts that I've got tickets for. It's in my back pocket. I get to look forward to it. And if I got a bargain, it feels like an even better show.
Wow. Sum 41, I just had an out of body experience remembering listening to that band in junior high. That's incredible.
I would say that probably was, now you know a lot about me and my musical taste.
Hey, yeah. No judgment though. I think it's great. There is kind of this resurgence, I think. We're the same age, I think, elder-ish millennials, and kind of this rekindling. We're past cringe. We don't even care. We're just leaning into it.
Nope. You know what? I love it. As an elder millennial, I love what I love. And you know what? I'm not cool. I never probably was cool.
No,
and
right?
I just stopped caring about it. So I'm just excited to see the music I like. What about you, Frankie? What's your pick of the week or your picks of the week?
Yeah. Okay. So I've noticed this a little bit on social media and I think in the From Boise newsletter, shout out to Marissa, and a lot of other places. But the city of Boise has this kind of PSA campaign going on called Scoot Over. And I am a sucker for a nice pun with my PSA because this PSA is about the Lime scooters, which depending on your feelings, you either love them or you hate them. I kind of actually vacillate between those two extremes, depending on my feelings of the day. In some ways, I think the Lime scooters are great because it means hopefully a couple less cars on the road and people are, whatever, getting out and not just using cars everywhere. But they also are a nuisance because people park them in the middle of the sidewalk, which is definitely not ADA compliance for anyone who has disability. That's a real problem, as well as some people are just jerks on them, as we very well know. Definitely have seen some in the river too, which is not cool at all.
No. Come on, people.
Yeah, but I've been noticing there's this Scoot Over campaign from the city of Boise, which, hey, I'm going to endorse this PSA because I think it's probably smart to remind people not to be jerks when they're using them. Get them out of traffic. Don't be on the sidewalks when there's people walking and taking up space. Be on the street or in a bike lane, be smart about it. Hey, you should really wear a helmet too. Nobody does that, but I'm still going to say it.
As someone who used to work in the ER, please be careful. I've seen that was the ER's bread and butter. Probably still is.
Yeah, for real.
People are getting hurt. Please be careful.
For real. Yeah, it's fun until it's not. Is the vibe. So yeah, and I think one of the elements of it is keep the scooters 3 feet away from traffic areas, including sidewalks. So do not park in the middle of the sidewalk, all of that. So anyway, it's spring. People are using the Lime scooters like crazy. And I kind of giggled at this PSA and also think it's a good idea to let people know, be mindful of other people when you're using the scooters and have fun.
Have fun. But have fun in a way we can all have fun.
Yes. Don't ruin other people's fun.
Well, thank you so much, Frankie. And great PSA. And let's, have a great spring weekend.
Yeah. Enjoy your weekend, Lindsay.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. The show is produced by Evelyn Avitia, Frankie Barnhill, A.K. Al Moomin, and me, Lindsay Van Allen. Blake Hunter writes our Hey Boise newsletter, and our music is by Up Is The Down Is The. If you enjoyed our show today, leave us a review. It helps other people find us. We'll be back on Monday with a Boise Bench food tour. You won't want to miss it. Evelyn, if you could cut out that absolutely when I'm like, absolutely. Just cut that.